Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. As George Carlin used to say, imagine the average dumb person. Now remember that half of them are dumber than that. Some people are really damn stupid. More right after a short pause. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. The dumbest "do you work here?" in history. A little while back, I was sitting at my register and thinking that I should do a drop soon. I opened the drawer and saw that I had a great many ones, dollar bills or singles to some, which prompted me to count them. This is because after accumulating a certain number of them, anything above the opening amount of ones is added to the next drop. As I'm halfway through the stack, 24 out of 49, a woman walks in the front door and asks, "Do you work here?" Bear in mind, this is while I'm behind the counter, sitting at the cash register with both hands literally full of money. My response was a bewildered, yes? The response going through my head was, no, we just allow random people behind the counter so that they can take money out of the register. I seem to be facing an increasingly moronic general public. No, I'm just robbing the place. Want some cash? And our second story. I did work there. This happened when I was working for the non-trademark infringing Paul Mart as an unloader. We did exactly that. We unloaded the truck to pallets, then moved those pallets to the floor to be worked by third shift. It was a horrible, thankless job. It's also a job that doesn't lend itself to customer service very much. Not only that, but an unloader has no idea about the ins and outs of other departments. Anyway, one of the last things off the truck are huge pallets of dog food that each weigh close to a ton. We usually take turns avoiding having to pull them unless the good boss was there who would let us race. Quickest person out to Pets and back with one of those behemoths could take a 30-minute break on the clock for both 15-minute breaks in a shift. This night, I was not lucky. So I'm dressed like an unloader in typical Paul Mart garb with a name tag and a colorful vest on that no one in their right mind would wear unless they were being poorly paid to wear it. I'm pulling an 1,850-pound pallet of dog food at full clock because I want to win. Now, under the best of circumstances, the poorly wrapped near-ton of dog food doesn't stop really quickly, and when it has to, bad things tend to occur. Add in my moving much faster than the best of circumstances because of the race and a doctor's bills required. So I bust through the doors of electronics at full bore and go steaming down part of the video game aisle, which was completely clear a moment ago, and then a wild customer appears. This old defiant lady steps right out in front of me, less than 4 steps ahead of me and 1,850 pounds of flying dog food, and asks, "Sir, do you work here?" I hit the brakes, hard. By this I mean I pull the lever that drops the load to the floor, the pallet still moves forward, and the double wheel creams the back of my foot. The dog food sways forward, and in my head I see a half-ton of dog food just crushing this old lady, so I twist and push on the leaning tower of Pow Chow, but thankfully it falls backwards instead. Several bags break open. A guy pulling something else out from the back nearly got smashed by the falling bags, but just barely dodges them. Things on his pallet fall off and crash as they hit the floor. Found out later it was a box of glass piggy banks destined for jewelry. I turn back around and in my best customer service voice ask, "I'm sorry, ma'am, could you repeat that?" This little old lady has just enough sense about her to know that something just happened. I couldn't tell if her grasp was firm enough to realize just how bad it could have become. "Do you work here?" she asked again, a bit more meekly than before. "No," I replied. "It's just my turn to feed Clifford." By this time, 2 managers had arrived. One was angry at me. The other, upon hearing what I had said, had to stifle laughter. They were different level managers. The mad manager tries to help the lady with her TV questions, while the other one helped me back past the broken piggies to the break room. I'm just glad my ankle didn't break. Edit. I don't think people who have never pulled a pallet of dog food or water realize the difference in speed between how fast one can go with them when lagging around versus trying to be quick. I assure you that even if I weren't trying to be faster and was pulling at the speed I would be going under normal circumstances, the pallet wouldn't have gone any slower or quicker. For these things, it's mostly a function of how fast you get up to speed and not the final speed achieved. I was actually moving just slower than my normal walking speed, but you get to the point where going slower is horrible and going faster isn't an option. The race is how quickly you can attain that equilibrium and how long you can sustain it. That'll make you go faster in the overall trip. And this occurred as it was dying in the store, as these things are the last move, so it was close to 10 or 10:30 p.m. And our next story. Don't screw over a guy that can do something about your pay. I once worked in a factory on a contractor basis a number of years back. Our union rep resigned, and as no one else would step up and against my better judgment, I ended up becoming the rep. Well, F me. The small group of about 20 people I was supposed to represent were on my case every minute of every day, usually about stuff I had absolutely no influence over, like factory policy on, you name it, I was supposed to do something about it. Cafeteria food, vending machines, any crap you can think of. Off my own back, the stuff I could do something about, I did, including, but not limited to, forcing the company whose premises we worked in to install a new 20,000-pound air conditioning system and a 3,000-pound lighting upgrade in our working area, all within 3 months of taking over, after those god-awful working conditions existing for about 15 years beforehand. Oh yeah, and nailing a douchebag boss on sexual harassment of some of my colleagues. I carefully took notes of every instance I witnessed over the course of a week, photocopied them, walked up to his desk, slapped them down, and told him if he didn't cut his crap out, I would take it all away. Was it enough? No, it was F. Inevitably, I had to take time off the line, sometimes to deal with union stuff. It wasn't often, but it was a requirement of the role. God, how they resented that. But I persevered, thinking that eventually they would see how I was improving their working conditions and cut me some slack, especially as I was the youngest person in the crew. How wrong I was. As often happened, some pen-pusher accountant decided we could work with one less member of staff, and so, when a long-term sick guy who was to get paid off left, he wasn't being replaced. Oh God, the hysteria. First off, I was a useless B-turd for not knowing about this and letting them know in advance, and then I was a useless B-turd for not preventing it happening in the first place. I was told at the same time they were. This went on for about a week or so, progressively getting worse and worse to the point that not one single effing person in the crew would talk to me more than was absolutely necessary for the job, as if it was me personally who'd decided to cut staff members. During that week, and in my own time, I researched every union document, every employer-employee agreement I could lay hands on, and while I couldn't find anything that would prevent the cut in numbers, I did discover that because of the layoff, we'd actually be entitled to 4 extra hours of pay every alternate week related to our shift pattern. I came into work next day elated at my discovery, but kept my mouth shut so douchebag boss wouldn't give anyone the heads up. I set up a meeting with the head union rep and the company directors to discuss the impending layoff. My plan was to ambush the directors with the 4 hours pay thing during the layoff discussions. It'd be a slam dunk. I told the crew I was going to have to take a couple of hours off the line for this meeting, and that's when the gates of hell opened up on me. I was taking advantage of the situation to get time off. I was a self-serving a-hole who was only out for themselves. I was being a jerk, etc., etc. This went on for 6 effing hours until I left for the meeting. At the meeting, I told the senior union guy to forget it and just said, fair enough, when the directors discussed the layoff. Left the job 3 months later. And our last story. No, ma'am. I don't want you to be in charge. I'll just come out and say it. And yes, I was a bit curt with this lady, and no, I shouldn't have spoken to her the way I did. But I get inquiries like hers several times a week, and it gets tiring when people act like I have the power to hire them when I don't. I'd come out to the garden area to give my coworker a bottle of water and send her inside for a break. While out there, a young woman walked up who looked to be in her early 30s. She was buying some plants and started chatting with my coworker as I waited for her to finish the transaction. Lady, are you guys hiring? Coworker. Always. We had a bunch of people leave last week. Lady. Are there any manager positions open? Me. I don't know. You'd have to look on the careers part of the website. They had a bunch of positions open when I applied, but I transferred in. Lady. I want to be a manager. I tried applying at the other store, but they said they didn't have a position open. I just want to know if one was available here. Me. Were I you, I'd apply anyway and then call a day later. Even if they say the position isn't open, just ask if you can come in for an interview and see how it goes. Could be someone misclicked something and it's actually open. Lady. But is the manager position open here? Me. Getting a bit tired of this line of questioning. Ma'am, I don't know. I don't keep track of that stuff. I'm just a cashier. Coworker. Sorry, all you can do is apply. Lady proceeds to tell us all her qualifications. This went on for a few minutes with me and my coworker still waiting. At this point, she'd finished the transaction and was waiting awkwardly for the lady to move along so she could take her break. Lady finishes talking about wanting to be a manager. Me. Okay. Lady pauses for a second and she stares at me. Well, I want the position. Me. Then you should go inside and speak to one of the managers on staff. I can't help you, ma'am. Lady. Don't you want me to be your boss? Me. Now I'm past the point of irritation. Not particularly. Lady, tone gets sharp. What's that supposed to mean? Me. No, I don't want you to be my manager. Lady stares at me in surprise. Me. Either apply or don't. I don't care. But I'm not working for you. Lady just stares at me for another few seconds before she quickly hurries out of the store. Coworker, equally surprised, and after a moment quickly leaves. I didn't see the lady ever come back in again or hear anything further about the incident. And as far as I know, no, the store has not hired any new managers to date. Why would I want as a boss some clown who doesn't listen to me? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.